1923 was a year of great starts. On March 23 of that year, the first issue of Time magazine was published. Just a few months later, Hollywood, California announced to the rest of the world that they were the new home to the arts and cinema. On September 27th of that year, the original Iron Man, Lou Gehrig, hits his first career home run and would go on to lead the New York Yankees to their first ever World Series victory. And in October, the father of animation, and Mickey, opened the doors for all of us to enter his magic kingdom. However, not every start that year would be remembered so fondly. On New Year's Day, 1923, the Bolsheviks formed the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Exactly 1 month later, Fascist Voluntary Militia is formed in Italy under Benito Mussolini. In April, Adolf Hitler's beer hall putsch in Munich fails, and upon his arrest for treason is sentenced to 5 years in jail. He is released 8 months later. In his family's parlor, by the light of a kerosene lamp, John Calvin Coolidge cites the oath of office and becomes the United States' 30th president at 2:47 a.m. on August 3, 1923, just hours after the unexpected death of Warren Harding. 1923. It was a time of promise, of hope, and of invention. It was also a time of unknown, of uncertainty, and of fear. In that same year, in the far northwest corner of this great country, another promising start was just getting underway. In a small town located south of Seattle, called Lakewood, a vision began in the home of one Joseph Holt. It was due to his love for the Lord Jesus Christ and his heart for the souls of boys and girls, men and women alike, that one rainy Sunday morning in January 1923, the Lake City Sunday School was organized by a group of 34 men, women, and children under Mr. Holt's leadership. Later that very month, a small group of women from the Sunday School met in the home of Mrs. Philip Gay and organized their work under the name the Lend a Hand Society. The Lend a Hand Society grew in membership rapidly, and they quickly realized the need for a new Sunday School building. Joseph Holt generously donated 3 parcels of land, and along with 2 more lots donated by the Puget Sound Bank, a church was planted. In July 1923, ground was broken. On July 4th, the men turned out to build the forms for the basement walls. An all-day picnic was held across the street from the church under the fir trees that still stand to this very day. Holt Chapel was finally completed and dedicated to the Lord's work in January of 1927. For the next decade, the ministry of this building continued only as a Sunday school, with a youth program called Christian Endeavor in the evenings and the occasional speaker. In 1936, upon the hiring of their first pastor at a monthly salary of $20, this group of Christ-following believers started to form and shape this church and its direction for the many years to follow. Then in 1945, under the ministry of Reverend Stan Johnson, the church was incorporated and the name filed in Olympia as the Lake City Church. The church was to be known as an undenominational church, based solely upon the teachings and doctrines of the New Testament. As the church continued to grow, so did its facilities. A former military barrack was barged from the naval base in Bremerton to Stellicum in 1949, along with another building that would become the parsonage. The Bremerton building, as it would henceforth be called, housed the nursery as well as Sunday school classes for the children. Around that same time, a Sunday school bus was purchased, and a route through Lakeview Village brought over 30 people to church every Sunday. Later, the bus fleet was increased to 3 buses, bringing more than 80 people to hear the good news of Jesus Christ. In 1955, the Constitution was dated and the church officially became Lake City Community Church. As the congregation grew, more room was needed, so plans to build a larger sanctuary began. Although Joseph Holt had died of stomach cancer several years earlier, his wife Mary was present as the cornerstone for the building was laid in 1954. The main sanctuary for the church was built by the faithful hands of church membership. Each Saturday the men would work and the women would provide a hot lunch. The main sanctuary was finally finished and dedicated in 1957. Although what God had built no man could take down, a couple young boys with a book of matches could at least try. It was on August 12, 1964, that a fire caused $63,000 in damages and necessitated moving church services for 5 months to the Lake City Community Club while work was done to restore the sanctuary. The restored sanctuary was rededicated on October 24, 1965, along with a new educational building. Around that same time, a new foyer was added to the front of the sanctuary, along with a much appreciated bathroom for the ladies. Some 40 years would pass before a new addition was made to the church. A multi-purpose gym and youth center was built alongside the education building in 2005. It also became the permanent home of the church's Bread of Life food bank. For 90 years, this church has housed a faithful body of believers, filled with the love of Jesus Christ, and a heart to share His great news, both here in Lakewood and to the far reaches of the world. Lake City Community Church is off to quite a start, which begs the question, where can God lead us tomorrow? One can only imagine.